Yes. Please, be seated. I have prepared the afternoon tea. It is a delight that you could make it. I even got some flowers out of the garden. They smell so good. So, are we ready for our tea? I have selected a special blend for today's tea. All the way from China. They call it chai tea. A special blend. Would Madam like some sugar in her tea? 1 teaspoon. Very well. For the gentleman, will you like some sugar in your tea? No sugar. Very well. Would we like a spot of cream? Yes, for the madam, yes. And for the gentleman, yes, also a spot of cream. Very well. There you go. For a lady of the house. And for the gentleman of the house. Here we go. I have also prepared some lovely treats also to go with your tea. Would you care for some lovely treats? Yes, help yourself. Help yourself. Some lovely treats. They're fresh out of the oven. Now, I think I will let you take advantage and give you your privacy, let you enjoy the scenery and take in some nature while you are having your tea, I will be getting back to my journal because I am writing a few short stories. Yes. I've been busy lately because, as you know, the great Hallow is coming. Yeah, the great Hallow. Will you be attending the great Hallow? That is why I am writing a few stories for the evening of the Hallow. So I have a few done. Would you like to hear one? Before I leave you, maybe I can recite you one of my stories I have written while you are collecting your tea. A story that I wrote a while ago. This story takes place on a farmland. Yes. And it is about a man, an elderly man. This elderly man would wake up every morning and he would prepare himself for the day. He'd get dressed, and then he would go downstairs, where on the kitchen table, awaiting him, were 2 eggs, sunny side up, an English muffin, lightly buttered, and a cup of coffee, black, with just, of course, a spot of cream. Well, the elderly man would have his breakfast, and then he would get to work, because his passion, his true love, was his garden. He would spend his days working in his garden, making sure that there were no invasive shrubs. But in his garden, there were a multitude of plants, flowers of every color, blooming, radiant, with such a delectable fragrance. And fruits of all kinds. There were plum trees, pear trees, apples and oranges. And not to talk about the vegetables, yes. He had carrots, and there was cucumbers and tomatoes. Needless to say, that the elderly gentleman would not starve, for in his garden he had enough to eat during the day and night. keep him satisfied. This went on for quite some time, months and months. He would work in his garden, tending tediously to its beauty. Working so vigorously, turning the ground. But every once in a while, he would take his hand and twitch his wedding ring. Because of course, there's always dirt that gets beneath the ring, so he would take his ring off, blow on it, just to loosen the dirt, shake his hand, and put the ring back on. And there, he would get back to his chores. Even after several months going on, the same routine was happening. The garden was growing immensely and getting even more beautiful. The elderly man, would still wake up in the morning, get dressed, go downstairs, and yes, 2 eggs sunny side up, his English muffin, lightly buttered, and his coffee with a spot of cream. But that day, he went in the garden again to tend to its beauty and splendor. But as the day passed, and he was turning the soil, again he pondered the past, thinking of the days, how they were, and maybe how they would be. But as he went to take off his wedding ring, as a force of habit, he noticed that it was missing. The wedding ring was gone. Well, that put the elderly man in such a frenzy. He searched the garden everywhere, ripping out the plants, the flowers, the vegetables, even the trees, looking for the ring. But with no luck. Disappointed, the elderly man called it quits for the day and adjourned to his nightly quarters, where he would go to sleep for the night. Well, the next day, maybe hopefully, he would find the ring. But that morning, there was not a sound. There wasn't any running water. There was not a peep. Nothing. And as we went downstairs and looked on the kitchen table, there were no eggs sunny side up. There was was not an English muffin lightly buttered, and there was not a cup of coffee to be found. But in its place, there was the elderly man's wedding ring. And as we ponder and we looked outside, the garden had withered away. There was nothing left alive. And there was no elderly man. He was never seen or heard of ever again. But to this day, the ring is still on the table. Well, just one of my short stories. And as it be said, or as it has been said, the wife in the story, who was never talked about, that is because the elderly man only had passion for his garden, and his wife was so neglected that she passed away unnoticed. But still, before she passed, she would still make him his breakfast. 2 eggs, sunny side up, an English muffin, lightly buttered, and a cup of coffee with a spot of cream. So, I will leave you to your relaxation and your tea, and I will adjourn to complete my stories. So, take care. We love you, and be catching you on our next video. Bye for now. Please enjoy